Well, we're back again with Marty Fallor. We decided to do episode number 2 with him. We just could not get all the content in on the last episode, so we're doing an episode again here. So this is episode number 2 with Dr. Marty Fallor here today. And Marty, we're just not done. We're just not done,
and we've got some time this morning. No time like the present. Another good thing to keep in mind when you have to put things together for your schedule. No time like the present.
And your schedule got cleared up, so we're talking more.
Yeah, this is working out great.
So if you didn't hear the last episode with Marty, we talked about owning the room, comfort zone, how to meet people and how to talk to them and have genuine conversations. And it was just an outstanding episode, but we just have more. We have more to give to you guys here today. So we're going to continue the mic on here with Dr. Marty Fallor. He's got his Rolls Royce parked out front, and we might even have to go to lunch after this.
That's right.
Have a nice lunch and just talk about these episodes we're doing here today. But Marty, you said you wanted to touch on some more things. You had some notes. I mean, not too many of my guests come with notes, and I really appreciate that too.
Well, you know what? I so appreciated with the initial phone call, the initial text message you sent to me about, I've been seeing your 5-minute barks, and but that seemed like a really interesting and a very admirable undertaking, and I wonder if I could get involved in some way. And sure enough, the call and the text came, and I'm very, very pleased and very privileged to be here. And I want you to know I respect that opportunity, and hence trying to get a little bit more prepared than just showing up and
right.
and chatting with you.
Well, nobody really realizes what a podcast is, for one, and it's basically a radio station. And two, it's been so exciting. Obviously, this is new to me. I started in February, but it's really been taking off in the last month or two. And you know, to hear all the good things that people are saying about the show just motivates me not only to be a great host, but to help me get every little drop out of my guests. Like, I want to get everything that Dr. Marty Fallor, it has to say and share. And it's just, you know, like you were so excited about your practice, I'm so excited about this practice of just, my job is to unravel you and share with you what you have with the world. And we didn't get enough of that. We're so on fire right now, and we're doing episode number 2, and that's pretty cool.
It is. But you know, I got to compliment you as well. You tend to have the ability to bring out the conversation too. And I was wondering, even getting over here,
what are we going to talk about?
Yeah, how is this going to flow? And
how are we going to fit 20 minutes in, right?
Right, exactly. And it did. And with more left over. Our previous episode was really more about social interactions and meeting people and those kinds of things that you can put to use in that type of a setting. It's also applicable to business and to normal work environments as well, but more along the lines, more geared towards social events. What I wanted to go on further with was how we act in our professional lives, not just our work or career. I like to refer to them as professions. You know, whether you're a physician, an attorney, whether you're a salesperson, whether you're an accountant, whatever you do, to me, if you take the attitude that you're a professional, it elevates your own self-esteem to some degree, and I think it raises your own personal bar.
That's a really good. I mean, I'm hearing you right now, and I can't wait to hear this again. But how you said that is really interesting, and I think I just want to make. I'm stopping you here. I want my guests to understand what you just said. Really, like, take anything you do as you're a professional. Not just like, you're just not just working for somebody. You're a professional at it. You're getting paid at doing it. And if we look at that in the world of athletes, we just look up at them because they're professional baseball players. But all they're doing is just doing their work. They go to every day and they grind it just like we do. But we as paid workers don't treat ourselves as professionals. So I just wanted to point that out. So.
Yeah. Oh, no, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's like, I've seen oftentimes written, don't dress for the job you have, dress for the job you hope to have. Well, I'll take it one step even to me more and further is, don't necessarily act for the job you have now. Act in a way commensurate with the job you want to have eventually, or that career that you want to have eventually. And so if you're working in any sort of setting, I have this all the time with cars. Yep. I have a lot of cars. I buy a lot of cars. And it sometimes annoys me that I have salesmen that know less about the car than I do.
All the time.
And it's like, dude, pardon me, but this is like your job. How is it that I know more than you? And then I take a step back and cut into the slack of knowing that That's what his level of professionalism.
Right.
He's here for the week and for the day, and it's just like another job. For me, I'm buying some new exotic car, and I'm all thrilled and excited about it.
You know everything about it.
Yeah, but I thought, wouldn't your life be cooler if you had that enthusiasm too? Yeah. Man, you get up every day. Okay, maybe just a salesman now. But I know at least 3 stories of just salesmen. I hate that word just. I don't think anyone is just anything.
Yeah.
I think so many more layers. It's expedient to have just something. But I know 3 salesmen, or as I say, just salesmen, facetiously, that have grown to have their own dealerships. Dealerships with an S. A fellow that I knew was a service writer at the old Corns Motors on Miramar Road, the Rolls-Royce Ferrari dealership. Now actually grew to own several. He retired. He was done with it, but grew to own several.
Isn't that amazing?
It is. The fellow from Breck to BMW. People don't know he was a salesman originally. Yep. Hohen, a household name in car sales. Porsche, Audi, Mercedes.
Worked for somebody else.
He was, his father before him. He was a salesman initially, and then, so being just anything is really selling yourself short.
Right.
I don't care.
Being a professional.
But being a professional, that's a personal choice. Your job is what it is, and there's a job description that goes along. How you treat it, people will notice. And maybe more importantly, you will notice. And the idea of exceeding expectations, it's the tagline for the celebrity cruise line. We exceed expectations. They're a nice cruise line. There are better. But the idea of exceeding expectations for your own expectations and others, it's sort of a fun thing. It's like, I nailed that one. Yeah. And there'll always be situations that'll arise. I'm going to sound pessimistic, but there'll be occasional situations that arise where you just have maybe a less than perfect interaction with a situation. There are sometimes ways of at least neutralizing that, if not turning it around. It would happen sometimes in my own practice. I'd have somebody, with maybe a prolonged level of bruising or swelling after surgery, generally a week to 10 days, but occasionally go into 2 weeks. Have them come back to the office and, give them some Arnica Montana or some bromelain or something.
Right.
And, and listen, hear them out, and be kind. You're able to not only neutralize that somewhat negative situation, no one wants more bruising than they have to have, but maybe turn into a positive. Oh, he was so nice afterward. He had me come back to the office or make a house call. I used to do it all the time. I mean, people were amazed. You make house calls? Yeah, if I have to, why not?
It's a professional. You're a professional.
Exactly. I want to make sure I'm delivering the best care. And to some degree, it's a matter of like that golden rule stuff. Do unto others, have them do unto you.
Yeah.
The goes around, comes around, karma thing. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. To me, that's become my religion, is those kinds of things. I try to do something. I wonder if someone were to do this or that for me, but I feel really good. So why not go ahead and do that? Even if it's that paying forward thing and being the first one to make that initial positive gesture that would make, that in your heart would make you feel good. And chances are, if it make you feel good, make someone else feel good too.
And just to brush up on the professional thing, it's just making me want to talk here.
Yeah,
but,
so I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, that's okay. But I mean, if you even take the position of being a secretary, which is not glamorous at all. But if you take that person and they become professional, I mean, look at the opportunity they have, okay? They could be Donald Trump's secretary. They could be the secretary of somebody really high up. And that person is really running that person's life. So if you're a secretary or you're just, like you said, a worker at a car dealership, you become professional at it and you become better than maybe somebody you're actually working with. It doesn't matter what job you are, but if you treat it with a professional attitude, it changes everything. It changes everything. You're not that everyday person. You're exceeding everything that's out there, and you're going to be wanted. I mean, good secretaries are in dire need. That's who's running your life. They always say behind every good man is a good woman, but behind every good business person is a great, secretary or assistant, whatever you want to call it. Secretary
exactly.
Might be the old name for it, but I love how you said that, and I'm really trying to take that in and get that to my guests.
No, I appreciate that. I appreciate the way that you amplify different things with your own interpretation of them, too. I think that helps the flow of the conversation, because you just hit on a couple of points that I want to reiterate or go back on, too, is if for no one else, even if no one else notices, let's say there's a good sign of character is doing the right thing when no one's watching. I believe that. sincerely. Is that, but even if no one notices how professional you are, you'll notice it.
Right.
And it helps your own self-esteem. Again, knowing that you're doing the best you can do and you really have what your position is, you've got it covered. Speaking about secretaries, I know one local family law attorney here who started off as a legal secretary, never even finished high school,
right.
Was able to get into a local prominent law. In fact, the law school that I went to, Thomas Jefferson School of Law, they didn't have a college degree requirement.
Right.
And she's one of the most sought-after family law attorneys here in San Diego. One of my fellow students when I was in medical school did finish college, I think. I'm almost certain that she did. But she had been working as a secretary on the ward, was called a ward clerk in a hospital. And so there she was, just, again, that word I hate, just a ward clerk, but did her job well, got all sorts of glowing recommendations, and there she became a medical student. Again, the story I think a lot of people know is that the owner of Ralph's started off as a box boy or some type of a stocking person, and there he is now. And so there's so many stories like that.
How about Andrew Carnegie? He was a runner boy for one of the railroad guys, and then
I wasn't aware of that one, so I just learned something.
He was a runner boy for I forgot his name, but he then became. He had to do some different things, and they had to get this bridge done, and he was stuck with this project of getting this bridge across the Mississippi, and they needed to refine steel and make a steel that was strong enough to extend that long. It was like a quarter mile or a half mile or a mile long, I'm not sure, the bridge. But back in the day, they had iron, and iron it would crack, and he had to develop. So he ran around the world trying to perfect steel, and then Andrew Carnegie Steel, and that's what steel. Everything we get nowadays is from that company.
Yeah.
And he became the richest person in the world at one point.
I think a lot of people have a tendency, again, it goes back, I think, to that insecurity thing or lack of self-confidence. They're their own worst critics, whether it be what they're wearing, how their makeup looks, those kinds of symbols, or it goes as far as to even be self-critical as to where they've come at a certain point in their lives. I wish I had gone more, or I wish I was doing more at my age. Well, whatever age, as long as you're still breathing, where there's life, there's hope, right? So wherever you are, make the most of where you are and have that attitude. Again, going back to the professionalism, my last day of surgery, I didn't know it was going to be my last day. Okay. I was in my office up in Westlake Village, very nice area.
Very nice up there.
And I was operating on a gentleman. About a third of my patients actually were men. Eyelid surgery is one of those things where it's a pretty good percentage of men because it's a very quiet procedure. There's very little, after it's done properly, you usually can't tell it's been done. If it's done not so well, you can. But generally speaking, if it's done properly, it's very subtle. And I was looking, it was my first case of the morning. Again, keeping in mind that no idea that I was going to be ending my practice that weekend. But I looked down at I was doing the surgery. I thought, it's funny. I've been in practice at that point for 17 years. I still feel honored when someone chooses me to be their surgeon. Almost 15,000 cases. I still feel honored when someone chooses me to do their surgery. I thought, you know what? I wonder if that feeling is ever going to end. And then I thought to myself, I hope it never does. Because I think that really...
You were thinking that day.
That day, I thought, I am still appreciative of someone choosing me. I'm still honored. Right. Truly honored, I think was the word that came to mind, of someone choosing me to be their surgeon. I'm thinking, who else is it going to go to? I'm like the man. The other part of like the ego sort of jumping in there. But I thought, no. The real Marty is saying, I really appreciate this. Everything I've got is based on you. Right. Obviously not just you personally, but you times 15,000 is what has created a lifestyle I couldn't have dreamed of when I was younger. And how do you not appreciate someone that does that for you?
Oh, it's amazing.
How do you not have that honor or that sense of honor when someone chooses you? And you can apply it to a car salesman. Yeah. Thank you for and sincerely. If it wasn't for you, you wouldn't have made that sale, and it should be treated like that. Or working in retail or as a secretary or any position that you could think of, is that feel honored by the people that you serve, that they've chosen you, because they could choose someone else.
Yeah, they could.
Yeah,
and I'm sitting here and I'm being 100% honest. I just got chills going through my body when you said this little story that you said, because the word appreciation came out, and you didn't really even realize you were saying it. It was just, and then you take what happened from there. Like, it was almost like life said, Marty, you did your job. You without even trying, you said after 17 years, 15,000, you're still appreciating what you do. And God or whoever, the universe, gave you this gift of where you are today. I mean, you probably didn't even realize that, but today on the microphone, we're just sitting here like, because we always find out appreciation and gratitude gives us everything.
Yes.
And we said that, you just said that without even knowing you were saying that. This wasn't made up in any sort of way, but it's like, wow, what a revelation, because 17 years
and almost
15,000 things.
cases.
And all you could think about at that point is, I'm just so happy this customer appreciates me and wants me as a thing.
Right.
And look what it does.
And so happy that I had found this one little tiny niche in all of medicine that made me so happy and, brought so much joy.
I've never even heard of eye surgery. I mean,
a lot of people have it. A lot of people have it. And even to know that there was a doctor just does that one thing. But, and you brought up something now that I had forgotten. It wasn't even, in my mind when I was driving over here this morning or yesterday. I was thinking about the podcast, and that is living with an attitude of gratitude.
Yep.
I think that's a really simple, just 3 words, attitude of gratitude.
Yep.
But it's a nice way to go through life, is wherever you are. You're probably better off than what you think you are. You have enough. And the more grateful you are, I've seen this written somewhere, the more grateful you are, the more finds its way into your life. Again, I'm a very big believer in that whole karma goes around, comes around kind of thing. And I think if people sort of kept that in their minds, it would maybe direct how they spend their days and what they give their mind energy to. But one of the things that had come to mind just now too is I mentioned to you some other time in another conversation we had, is the idea of if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all.
Yes.
I mean, it sounds really trite and just, oh yeah, we all heard that when we were kids. But I have just a brief story without going too far off on a tangent.
No, this is a good one to talk about, because
I think
we can all slip and say something we're trying to express our opinions, and we don't realize what it means sometimes when we say it the wrong way or not.
Right, exactly. Be careful, choose your words. Again, going back to the Maya Angelou quote of people never forgetting how you made them feel. But when I was a resident at UCLA, academic medicine has its range of personalities, just like any profession. And there are easy personalities and there are, let's say, less easy personalities, being very cautious with my use of words.
Right.
And there was one fellow who was a fellow resident of mine that would never say anything bad about anybody or anything. Occasionally, it would get infuriating because there was some professor who was just just not the kind of people that you really could fuzzy up to.
Yeah.
And he would do things like, God. And this guy still, always there with a positive word. I would think about it, not infrequently, and I thought it's a good way to go through life in general. But the real kicker on this was about 2 years ago. I was heading up to UCLA to attend a meeting being held by one of my former residents. I wanted to support him, and I hadn't seen some of these people for over 10 years. And so I walk into the auditorium, and everybody looks so old. In fact, I was thinking, I hope I don't look that old. But okay, whatever, that being what it is. Only went to college for 1 year, so I had a couple of years ahead of everybody else, but still within a range. I was thinking, I hope I don't look that old. Except this one guy, George, he knows who he is, hadn't changed. In all those over 10 years, hadn't changed. And the whole 2.5 hour drive back from UCLA, all I could think about was George, and never saying anything negative about anything or anybody. And as much as I used to tell my patients, no such thing as a fountain of youth, really. If there is one, it's probably diet, exercise, those things. But, you can't really hold back the passage of time. If I was still in practice, what I would share with people is negative energy, negative thinking, and or avoidance of negative. I guess the positive side, positive thinking, positive energy.
Yes. Trying
to really restrict your comments to things that are positive. Unless there are certainly egregious things, and,
yes, of course.
And it takes a while to get into that mindset. But I'm swearing that I think it has an impact on the way people age and what goes on in their own systems. The fewer negative things you have to say, I see it sometimes on Facebook. In fact, not sometimes, more often than I like to see, negative commentary. It's like, is it really? There's some kind. It KIND, some type of a little mnemonic for, I think one of the things is, number one, before you say something or write something, is it kind? And number two, I think, is it as important? Is it, I think the N is necessary. I'm unfortunately forgetting on what the D is. That idea of before saying or writing something, have kindness as your number one thing.
Yeah.
Again, I think people know it's better to be kind than to be right. Couldn't agree more with something like that. But all your interactions with people then throughout the day, whether it be through your business or in the evening with your social interactions, keeping those sort of basic principles in mind, if for no one else but yourself, it's cool. I've heard also people say that holding a resentment against somebody is like taking poison, hoping the other person dies.
Oh.
And I think the quicker you can let go of resentments and negative feelings, the better for you. And obviously it'd be better for the other person too. You don't have to forget things. You can keep those in the back of your mind and use caution in further interactions with somebody that doesn't abide by these sort of basic tenets of society. But you don't have to really hold them near and dear to your heart.
Exactly.
You can let go and have a happier life.
I come from Boston, and you know that, and you've seen how I am. I'm kind of tough love person, and we have a lot of like negative energy that we pass through on the East Coast. It's just, I don't know why we have that, and lately I've been really working on personal transformation, and one of the things I've really had to learn is mind your own business, and it really serves all of what you're talking here today, because I mean, sure, maybe something you're saying may help that person or may not, or maybe insult them or whatever. You're saying the truth a lot of times when you're saying negative things, but you mean it in a positive way. But maybe you should just focus on ourselves. Kind of helps us through that, because they're going to do what they're doing. Excuse me, I'm all chalked up here. But in my situation, I've helped a lot of people with drug problems and different than that. But and I would try to drill into their head, you need to do this, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this. And you just find out that person passes away, or they just didn't learn. But if I could change my life and go back and say, you know what, he's going to do what he's going to do. He's going to do the drugs, and it's his choice to do that. Or it's this person's choice to do that, and let them, and just guide them if they ask you. But if they ask for your help, then add that advice. So, but you're right. It's like, you got to stay on the positive side of things and stay there, because we have ourselves to worry about. There's enough there to worry about versus because negative energy and stuff like this, tending trying to tell somebody else what to do, or have them do something we want them to do, right?
Correct.
It's usually in that.
And I think that idea of just what you just said, what you touched upon, the idea of people are going to make their own calls.
Right.
You can
and let them.
You can give the advice, but ultimately it's going to be their decision, and you can't take it personally. You just let people go. Let beings be. I heard somebody once say. But again, with a conversation flowing the way it is, I remember a number of years ago with all of my locations, I used to drive a lot.
Yeah, you said that.
Drive a lot.
Drive me crazy.
I would do.
I used to drive a lot too, actually.
I would fly some places, but most of the time it was driving between L.A. and here. Anything beyond that, I usually fly to. So I had these tapes, these motivational tapes, and one was by a fellow named Zig Ziglar, a very famous, well-known salesman. And a lot of these motivational tapes are based on sales, because we're all in sales.
Yeah.
Whether you want to, whether you're a physician, or you're an attorney, surgeon, you're in sales. Yep. At least a big part of it. But he was giving advice, and on this one tape that I was listening to, this one drive, and it was for professionals. And one of the things he said was, well, when you finish at the end of the evening, or the end of your workday, if you've done more than a minor procedure on somebody, call them, check in on them, make sure they're doing okay. I'm thinking, oh, I do that already. Good. The second thing was some other, somewhat to me intuitively obvious thing that you should do too. And I said, okay, well, I do that too. And the third thing was, this is the one that really got me. He said, if you have to criticize somebody, first of all, do it in private if you possibly can. Be kind with your words. But before you go into the criticism, chances are if it's somebody you're working with, they're doing most everything correct already. So you preface what you're going to say by, hey, you really did the prep really good today, or I like the way the patient was draped today, or thank you for getting those new instruments for me, because the old ones were starting to show some wear, and you did a great job cleaning everything, and thanks for getting the room turned over so quickly. But There's this one thing I want to ask you about, or just sort of share with you. When we were passing instruments, you called something by the wrong name, and one of the other gals got confused. So just be aware it's called such and such. And I thought to myself, wait a minute. He just did that to me. He hit up on two things I'm doing already: the calling the patients, leaving to check in on them. This other thing, of some minor importance. So by the time he got down to the third thing that I wasn't necessarily going out of my way to do, I was so receptive to it. I thought, I'm going to do that from now on. Yep. If I have to say anything, and it didn't happen often, but if I do have to make a correction or give someone some advice, before jumping right into the potentially hurtful, negative thing, let me go ahead and build a little positive energy up. Yeah. Having somebody feel better about what I'm about to say, because it's clear that attitude of gratitude, that I appreciate the big picture. Yep. There's one little minor thing that they can change, make all the difference in the world. Yep. And someone's more likely to do that. Whereas, hey, you call the instrument by the wrong thing. Okay, great. Yeah. Thanks, asshole.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's awesome. That is awesome. We're already winding down again. We're already past our time again. Is there anything else you wanted to share?
It may have to wait for a future podcast. I know. but this is great for today. And
this is great,
I think I hit upon a lot of things that I wanted to get even beyond our first one. We can save this for a later time.
Yeah, we surely dug into some really good stuff on this one. It's almost better than the last one, I guess. They're always better. We always get better. But professional. I love that we talked about being professional, and no matter what you are, who you are, what you do, you can be a professional about it. You can be professional.
And you'd be surprised how far you can get no matter where you start. No and so I guess, and we did last time, sum up, two major things. I guess number one is probably applies to everything, is the attitude of gratitude. I mean, that's a lifestyle. Yep. And that's a choice you can make. You can be... That'd
be a good shirt.
Yeah, really. I mean, you can be grateful to whatever you have. If it's not a new car, it's a car. At least not taking the bus. You're taking the bus, at least not walking. Whatever it is, there's the attitude of gratitude can permeate your everyday life.
Absolutely.
And the second thing is that idea of wherever you are in life, treat it with respect. Treat your clients or your bosses, your coworkers with respect. Remember, you're a professional if you choose to be.
Absolutely. We're here with Dr. Marty Fallor, and again, one of the most beautiful things I've heard on microphone was said to here today, and I've been practicing for 17 years, did 15,000 surgeries, and my last surgery, and I didn't even know it was my last surgery, he was just like, I'm thankful that I have this client here today. And that's something that we all can kind of rest on here today, is appreciate everything that comes in our life and the gratitude that we have, and you can have a life just like Dr. Marty Fallor.
Thank you, Dennis. It's a pleasure to be here. Buddy. Looking forward to seeing you again.
Thank you. Way better than we both expected. I can't wait to listen to our own podcast here soon. So we're going to end with that, everybody. Thanks again for chiming in, and I hope you enjoyed our podcast today. And again, Marty, thank you for coming on.
My pleasure. Thanks for everyone for listening.
We'll talk to everybody soon. Good luck. Goodbye, everybody, and have a great day. Download my ebook for free today and learn all the important secrets to make your website shine. Learn how to rank your website in Google in a matter of days. Also learn how to use Facebook to your advantage by creating interesting posts, great, vibrant business pages. And we'll teach you how to utilize private Facebook groups to educate and update your clients at a moment's notice. So if you're ready to take your business to a new level, download this free ebook today and learn more about the web than you've ever known before. Sign up today and use this platform to create massive change in your life. In order to create massive change, you need a dream. Within the Cody Dog Interactive platform, we've created a vision board where you can allow yourself to grow and dream and put the things you really want into your life in this vision board. From there, the next step is to go and make goals. We create a great place for you to set up those goals and set up tasks to achieve those goals. From there, then we need accountability. We've created a great way for you to be accountable to yourself and all the actions you have right here in the Cody Dog Interactive platform. If you're looking to create massive change in your life, Cody Dog Interactive has created a platform and a community for you to do just that. So sign up today and hold yourself accountable for that massive change you've been looking for.